see it.
This is the Real Pod Newscast with Levon Putney with a quick check on what's going on. So here's my man to get into it.
Thanks for listening. Hope the week is starting off well. Well, just saw CNET and other tech news outlets are telling us all to change our passwords to our Google, Facebook, Instagram, Microsoft, and Roblox accounts, to name a few, because some hackers managed to get a lot of our passwords and then dump them all on a public website before it was taken down. So, yeah, we may want to change some passwords. And Taylor Swift, all happy after saying this weekend she bought the ownership rights back to her first 6 albums up to Reputation. So maybe now she can stop remaking Taylor's versions of her old albums. All right, let's get going.
My favorite stories of the day.
About a week ago, I did a story on how Pigeon Fest is coming up in Manhattan on Saturday the 14th, a day after the nationally recognized Pigeon Appreciation Day on Friday the 13th, of all days to be appreciated. Well, talk about some lazy pigeons. Back on Saturday, 2 of them caught a ride on a Delta flight out of Minneapolis-St. Paul to Madison, Wisconsin. UPI is reporting the first freaked passengers out when it took off flying through the cabin. And of course, somebody whipped out their phone, started recording video, knowing people will hit like on this on social media. And WCCO, CBS TV Minneapolis, used the video in their story, which said the first pigeon was flying around the cabin before they left the gate. So baggage handlers came in and got that one out. But then the pilots pulled out of the gate thinking the coast was clear. And that second pigeon said, no, it was not. Yeah, the guy who video recorded this all told the Minneapolis Star-Tribune the second one, I was first strutting down the aisle like a cool bird would until somebody tried to grab it, and that's when that pigeon started flying over passengers' heads, just like the buddy did a few minutes prior. Yeah, pilots ended up having to turn that Delta plane around and went back to the gate. The same baggage handlers ended up catching the second bird. And after that, a flight attendant who had already given the pre-flight safety instructions got back on the mic and asked passengers to please check to make sure there are no more birds on board. Now, UPI is reporting they all started laughing, but the flight attendant was like, nah, for real though, check under the seats and bags. In Ohio's Mahoning Valley, near Youngstown, police say a 37-year-old man walked into a Home Depot store last Monday, the 26th, in Austintown, posing as a sales rep for DeWalt, one of the better tool makers around. And WFMJ NBC 21 is reporting store security then caught the guy going to get a pair of bolt cutters, then to a neighboring aisle where the tools are, used the bolt cutters to open the gates that DeWalt and other tools are stored behind. And they say the guy grabbed one of the Home Depot's flatbed carts and piled 23 items onto it. Several DeWalt batteries, saws, blowers, and grinders, adding up to about $4,200 worth of stuff that cops say the guy then tried to push out of the store on that flatbed without paying. Yeah, he tried. But 21 at WFMJ is saying police arrested the bad poser and took him to jail on felony theft, possession, and vandalism charges. A 31-year-old woman in Washington, D.C. is facing some serious charges because the Saturday before last, Fox 5 D.C. is reporting she decided for whatever reason to blame everything I'm about to tell on her Lord and Savior, Michael Jackson. Seriously. She started by taking off all her clothes right in the lobby of the Hilton Garden Hotel in Northwest D.C., then went outside and laid on a towel on the ground. So at this point, it could have been someone a little too excited about laying out to get an early jump on that summer tan, but nope. After someone called police about a nude woman outside, she ran inside to the bar. And cops tell Fox 5 people started running, not necessarily because a butt-naked woman walked in, but because the butt-naked woman then got behind the bar and started throwing bottles at people. D.C. police say the bar was a mess with shattered glass when they got there, and hotel staff, well, they were standing around this nude woman who at that point was sitting at one of the bar's high tables with her rear end all over that chair. And that's when officers say they asked her why, and she reportedly said, "My Lord and Savior Michael Jackson told me to." Now, cops say she also said she was trying to hit all the white people while throwing liquor bottles, but MJ said it doesn't matter if you're black or white, so can't blame him for that part. And she's now facing hate crime charges, though, related to assault and property destruction, along with lewd and disorderly conduct charges. Sometimes some stories will make one wonder what drug is being used or what medical condition people are under, and this was one of those. Hope she's okay. Also, the Saturday before last, 2 hikers in upstate New York's Adirondack Mountains called 911 to report they had gotten lost and that the 3rd hiker with them had died on the popular Cascade Mountain summit in the high peaks. Sometime between that 911 call, though, and wildlife rangers finding them, the 3rd hiker also called 911 because they were not dead or hurt. Rangers said the 2 hikers were just high on shrooms, hallucinogenic mushrooms, when reporting their buddy's death. And in that altered state, the Associated Press is reporting they did not get any more time to enjoy tripping on shrooms while hiking and camping. No, an ambulance took them both to a hospital, while the 3rd buddy they declared dead was escorted back alive to the campsite. Back in a moment, but before we break, hey, check out DJ Greg H's Jams podcast. Here's a promo.
Blazing the best hip-hop, R&B, reggae, soca.
You can get the Jams podcast mix on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeart, Apple Podcasts, and Deezer. Download the podcast for free.
It's Jams Hour Mix with Greg H.
Tired of grocery store sticker shock when you see the price of eggs? Come to J-Dub's Rooftop Market for premium eggs, straight from J-Dub's Pigeon Coop. $5 a dozen for eggs laid minutes before, fresh out the mother pigeon. It can't get more organic than that. So swing by J-Dub's Rooftop Market at the corner of Clinton Avenue and South 17th in Newark. Drop by.
And now for the world around us.
And the things people do for attention and recognition. Last Thursday, Guinness World Records posted video of a 28-year-old British daredevil who did 7 backflips in 30 seconds while on fire. And that broke a Guinness record, which means somebody thought to do this before. The British guy was wearing protective gear and said he was soaked in gel and put in a fridge for 24 hours before this stunt, so said he was actually extremely cold while flipping in flames. But still, as soon as the 30 seconds were up, he was sprayed down with a fire extinguisher, wrapped in a towel, and then told Guinness he wants to break more full-body burn records. Yeah, there are more of these, and by his description, so many records for full-body burns. Man, one day robots will look at each other and wonder what the hell was up with these humans. Victoria Police in Australia just put out surveillance video footage this past Wednesday showing a guy fall victim to karma. Oh, it is worth the internet search to see this. This man in Australia setting himself on fire in a restaurant. Use those keywords, look this up, because it will be the visual definition of a stupid criminal. Calling it like I'm seeing it. News.com.au is among outlets with the footage backing up the cop's story that this guy broke the glass front door while pushing his way into the restaurant holding a red gas can, then started pouring the gas or whatever flammable liquid was in the can all over the restaurant's bar counter and floor, causing him to start slipping and sliding. And then, while this genius was slipping and sliding on the flammable liquid, he pulled out a lighter or a match and lit it, and immediately went up in flames while slipping his way into a stop, drop, and roll while trying to run out. Yeah, he didn't roll long enough to put out the fire on his clothes, and I don't know if the arsonist is a liar, but his pants were on fire as he ran out of the restaurant, and this happened a year ago, late May of last year, so Victoria Police just released the footage, hoping it'll help with tips on finding this genius. Now, someone firing up a cigarette outside in France is almost as cliche as someone in France wearing a beret. You know, sort of the stereotypical image we've seen here in America, at least. But France's health and family minister said in an interview published back on Thursday that starting July 1st, no smoking will be allowed in public places where children may be, like at beaches, parks, bus stops, sports venues, and outside schools. The ban does not cover e-cigarettes, and cafe terraces will be excluded. But fines will be €135 or $154 if caught lighting up in those public spots in France after July 1st. Well, time for another break. Smoking break. Back in a moment.
It's not often that you'd want to lean in for a close sniff of toilet paper. Ew. But the rose-scented paper rolls from Rosie will make you want to press those nostrils up against a roll. And there, you can inhale the rosy aroma soon to bless your bottom. and feel the 4 plies of cotton ball softness about to caress your tush. Rosie bathroom rolls, because your butt deserves it.
Available nowhere.
What's up with what's going down, though?
An 18-wheeler truck carrying about 70,000 pounds of honeybee hives tipped over and crashed this past Friday morning in Washington State near the Canadian border. And the AP is reporting that led to police officers having to dive back in their cruisers here and there to avoid bee stings. And beekeepers, they had to come out and spent hours coaxing the honeybees back into their hives. Yeah, they said the truck driver was not hurt after not managing a turn well enough to avoid tipping over into a ditch. Yeah, the AP did not say if any bees got in the cabin and stung him, but the local sheriff did say the beekeepers were trying to reset the hives, hoping their queen bees would find their way home. And as much as it hurts to get stung, we should all want them to save them all. I mean, they are crucial to the food supply, pollinating over 100 crops, but experts say bee and other pollinators have been dropping in numbers for years now, from insecticides, parasites, disease, and climate change. So beekeepers nowadays, they're trucking millions of hives from one place to another. That's what this one was doing to help areas low on pollinators. Just seems those truckers and highway patrol officers may want to start carrying beekeeper suits.
Been arrested for throwing a freak-off party?
Or for being video recorded relieving yourself on a teen girl in bed?
Or for using baby oil to a suspicious degree? The law firm of McCracken and Butts is the team for you.
We fight hard for our clients. No questions asked.
We don't want to know the answers. We only want...
Why you call me Big Slammy?
Because that's the way I roll.
Front, back, side to side.
Now that's really the way I roll.
I like the way you call me Big Slammy.
That's the way I roll.
Slammy Sammy, bringing back a lot of wild memories with that old jam. Mike Mann here, and right now, we're gonna...
And that does it for another Real Pod newscast. Thank you so much for listening, as always. And please follow and subscribe. And if podcasts ever come up in a convo, let them know about the show. Have a great rest of the week. Back on Friday.
This has been the Real Pod Newscast with Levon Putney from Show Enough Productions. And for more, hit up the website, realpodnewscast.com. That's real with 2 E's. This is Big Daddy Marty Allen. Thanks for listening.
Show enough.